Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dark Side of the Kitchen. And today's episode is called Broken Knives, Broken Chefs, the Physical Cost of the Kitchen. Kitchens are physically tough places. We all know this. You're on your feet for huge amounts of time, continuously on the go, physically demanding, mentally demanding, emotionally draining. We all know that. And as you get older, I suppose you start looking at yourself more and you're supposed to look after yourself more. Um, and I think this is where some people, including this dickhead, fall down, and you need to stop, reset, and organize yourself better because the body keeps score. You know, before a chef ever burns out emotionally, before they ever walk away, before they ever question the career that they once loved, the body usually breaks first. A scar on the hand, pain in the back, the wrist that never quite feels the same again, feet that ache before the day begins. I'd often joke that when I was a kid, I used to love Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And now I'm Snap, Crackle, and Pop getting out of bed in the morning. In kitchens, pain isn't unusual. It's actually expected. Relative recently, was last year, went to the doctor, was getting a checkup after a few things, and I said to her I had a problem with my thigh. It was giving me a bit of pain a couple of weeks beforehand, blah blah blah. So she said she'd check it, and she was at it, and then she said, "Let me know if there's any pain." And I said, "Oh no, just the usual amount." She looked at me and went, "Zero is the usual amount." I was like, "Oh, then yes, there is." Um, you learn that the job just doesn't take your time, of which it takes most of it. It takes your body. So tonight we talk about the cost nobody sees, the injuries nobody posts on their Instagram, the pain hidden behind the pass. This is Broken Knives, Broken Chefs. Kitchen is an initiation of by fire. The first burn is a rite of passage. The first cut. Every chef remembers it. I had a young guy start in the kitchen with me last year, and he got his first proper cut, and for us, we pay no attention to them anymore. But you forget that, the first one, it's like, oh, wow. Now he's a hardy little guy, but you remember the first ones. Obviously, you always remember certain things. Your first oyster. You always remember your first oyster. Love them or hate them, you remember your first one. I love them, but you'll always remember that first one because it's so different. And then when you come across people and they won't taste something because they don't like the look of it, the sound of it, or whatever it is, it's just food. It's not going to do anything to you. Worst case scenario is you don't like it. And then if you do, you just open up another world of something you enjoy. So never be afraid to try something for the first time. The worst thing is you don't like it. Big deal. Grow up. Pulling a tray from an oven without thinking about it and you grab it with your hand, you get that burn, a dry burn. Oof. Working on the fryers and the oil spits up. Not a little drop. Spits up at you. Steam rising faster than you thought it would and hitting you. Steam's a nasty one. And then you have the moment afterwards where you realize nobody's rushing over to help because it's normal. Because this is normal. By no way am I saying, oh, chefs are tougher than. There are way harder jobs and way tougher jobs with guys that I couldn't do their job. I remember my first week in the kitchen and I grabbed the tray straight from the oven. And the chef just said to me, "You won't do that again." I have. Now I will put my hand into a steamer and just take a tray out without a cloth, out from under a grill, just from years of, you know, the hands just becoming tough, you know. Same as every other chef. It's nothing special. It's an old chef, you know. Burns become badges, scars become stories. And you will see chefs in a quieter time if there's a newer chef in the kitchen talking about, I got this one doing this and I got that cut doing this. It's how we remember certain moments now, is through cuts and burns, scars that are left behind. You stop saying things like I hurt myself and you go, I caught myself again. Like it was part of a plan. Now, given the title of this one, you may think that I'm putting down the industry. I'm not. I love what I do. Always have. Not 100% of the time, because if you love it 100% of the time, you're not doing it right. You know, you've got to hate it at times, and I think that's true of any job. If you don't hate it at times, you ain't doing it right. Chefing has changed a lot, and a lot of it is for the better. Don't work the hours we used to. We don't put in. You're not expected to do them. You used to be expected to do them. I still do too many. I still get given out to by people for the amount of hours I do. Just the industry I grew up in. I'm old. I made it a long time. I've seen a lot of change. And as I said, most of it is for the better. But there are still certain things that happen. And I will say some of it isn't expected. It's just done. And the other side is like when you're in a kitchen and it's flat out, it's like a battlefield and you just do it. In most industries, injuries trigger investigations, you know, and HR has to be involved and there has to be a whole investigation about how this happened and why it happened. And you might say that's right. But a lot of that is PC gone mad as well. I recently worked within a government organization doing filling in, and it was infuriating because of the amount of rules. And maybe they found me infuriating from my lack of care of them. Because for me, it was about good food, done well, safely, you know, and the rest. Meh. In kitchens, it triggers jokes, you know, cutting yourself and burning yourself. Once everybody knows you're okay. I've had some bad burn. I had a bad cut last year. I ended up having to go to, actually originally went to the doctor and had to go to the hospital with it to get him to stop it bleeding. And I actually turned back up work that night and the GM went, "What the hell are you doing here?" With my hand up here, strapped up the whole 9 years. It's just the way I'm built. I don't do the thing of, well, I need weeks off work. And I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. I'm just saying it happened. For us, you cut your finger, you tape it up, you know? Believe it or not, like most older chefs will either use duct tape or glue for a cut. That's it. Duct tape or glue, whichever one works. Back spasms, taking painkillers, you know, finish service. Slip and fall, unless you seriously hurt yourself. If you slipped and fell, you're hoping nobody saw you because you're going to get ripped for it. Obviously, somebody could hurt themselves, and that's a different kettle of fish. But many, many moons ago, still have the scar for it here. I sliced open my thumb, right down the length of it. The chef wrapped it in blue roll, then in tape, and said, "Good, put on a glove and don't bleed on the food. 12 stitches. But I finished service. We laugh when we tell these stories. Because if we don't laugh, we might stop. Knives. Knives are the chef's most trusted tool. And I've always had a thing here with a lot of people that have come into chefing in the last probably decade. I don't think it was prevalent prior to that. I think it's much more new. Every chef I know who I consider a chef, every chef I know who I consider to be training to be a proper chef, has their own knives, proper knives. I'm not talking about, I've spoke about this before in a podcast, chefs do not buy knives in German supermarkets or any supermarket. You need proper knives. Every chef I know has a set. They become an extension of you. They're our most trusted tool. They're also the most unforgiving. Every chef has their knife story. Well, gartering themselves with their own knife. The day a blade slipped, I still have scars on these fingers from New Year's Eve. Restaurant packed. Was doing a vegetarian dish that was based around a carrot, had run out of prep. Was prepping it really quickly in the middle of service. The knife slipped straight down through the two fingers, opened them all the ways up. Because the rhythm broke. That second, it takes a second. The knives are razor sharp. They're supposed to be. One of the chefs working with me one day was prepping herbs at speed. One distraction. 1 second. 6 stitches, nerve damage, permanent numbness in 2 fingers. Back to work in 2 days. Because service doesn't stop. And I know some people will go, that's insane. And it shouldn't happen. You tell me where the perfect world is and I will move there. Because this is the world we live in. And we can decide on 2 things. Accept it for what it is, flaws and all. And or leave it. And a lot do leave it. Don't get me wrong, a lot of people leave it. And I've said this before on other podcasts, and I remember having a conversation with Anthony, who I interviewed, something I haven't got back to doing. I was interviewing a couple of other chefs. If you've been in this industry for 2-3 years, you're not a chef. And I've had this where, my brother, aunt, uncle, cousin was a chef. They worked for 2 years and you weren't a chef. You were a kitchen hand, you were a helper, you were a commie at best. And it wasn't for you. And that's cool, because the injuries stay silent. I don't remember all of mine. I remember certain ones. And every chef will be the same. We've cut ourselves more times than you could shake a big stick at. Not all injuries bleed. Some build slowly, quietly. Years of standing, years of lifting, years of bending over prep benches. Built for speed, not aerodynamics. Lower back pain. Knees wear out. Wrists act up because it's repetitive movement. When we're really busy, I wake up some mornings, I already feel like I've done a day's work because everything hurts. Carpal tunnel, sciatica, tendinitis, the hidden menu of kitchen life. So it's a culture of toughness. Why don't chefs stop? Why don't they rest? Because kitchens worship toughness, resilience, maybe ignorance. Pain is proof of dedication. Endurance is proof of passion. No job is perfect. And a lot of jobs I couldn't do. I wouldn't do. Not that I couldn't, I wouldn't do. Um, I would never make a great nurse. Not the blood wouldn't bother me, all of that wouldn't bother me. It'd be dealing with the people. We all see the stories of A&Es with some drunk guy came in and caused a load of hassle. I'd be the one arrested. I couldn't do it. Same with a guard. Not that I couldn't do a guard job physically. I couldn't deal with people how they deal with them. I actually think stupidity should be punished. I think you should be allowed to slap people for being stupid. And I mean that genuinely. I actually think if you could punch dumbasses, we'd have a lot less bullshit in the world. And kitchens are brutal like that. It's not tolerated. It's not put up with. You don't pull your weight, you don't last. You're an idiot. You get told you are. You're being a dumbass. Somebody will let you fucking know. So it's a certain type of person I think excels in a kitchen because of that. And it's why I could never be in a public facing job personally. Unless they allow you to start hating people. And I know somebody go, violence is not the answer. We'll disagree. I think some people deserve it. Anyway, if you leave work early, you're weak. If you slow down, you're soft. If you complain, you don't belong. Chefs push through what would stop most people. And the cycle continues. And some people might say that people like me are part of the problem. And maybe I am. I've dedicated my life to this. I've done more hours than... I have worked more hours than I have slept most weeks of my life. Because that's who I am. And that won't change. Now, I have copped on a bit, and last year took some time out. As people know, I worked in a great place for a while, did a couple of years there, and I took some time out, a couple of months out, because make sure I was good, health, both mentally and physically healthy and strong. And I think that's where chefs have to learn to prioritize rest, physically and mentally and emotionally. And yes, it's going to be busy. You do the extra time, but then you've got to cut it back for a bit to reinvigorate yourself and be top of your game. Because an exhausted, tired chef is not at the top of his game. By the time most chefs reach their 40s, their bodies feel decades older. As I said, this is for guys my age and older, more so than the younger ones, because I think they have more balance, which is a good thing, a very good thing. Chronic pain, the reason I went down the road of this particular podcast was over the last week, 3 different conversations. One with a guy about my age who was talking about things like repetitive strain syndrome, early onset of arthritis. Doesn't believe he has it, but believes he will get it. And then another one who I saw, it was actually a different podcast by a woman who was a chef who was transitioned into consultancy work. Tracy, I think it's Daily. She's on TikTok, quite good. Again, talking about pain and all of that. And then talking to a chef who's a few years older than me, who's good friends. And he has decided it's time to step out. So he'd be a few years older than me. And so he's looking for we'll call it chef adjacent job. So purchasing manager. He doesn't want to go into rep work. So he's looking for something that is kitchen adjacent. Because that age is catching, you know? Um, Scars that stop fading, over time. Like some people will leave the industry, not because they want to, but because their body refuses to continue. A guy I know, talented chef, now in his early 60s, said, I didn't quit the kitchen, my body quit on me. And as I said, I do think this is not gender specific, that's the wrong word I'm looking for. It's age specific. What I was trying to say was things like Gen X versus millennials versus so on, is that it's generational. Most chefs still stay. Most chefs still love it. They love to bitch about it. We all do. But they still love it. They still turn back up. They still go again. Sometimes they will change jobs. And sometimes that's necessary. There were some great employers. There were some terrible ones. I've been doing a lot of casual work for the last few months, and some great places, some great people. Fuck me, there's some bad places. And yet, despite all of this, we stay because we love what we do. Because the kitchen gives something back. And that's the side people never talk about in podcasts of what you get out of it. Because you do get something, otherwise you don't go back. There's a belonging, a feeling of place, a purpose, an identity. Pain becomes part of the price of admissions. And for many chefs, it's worth paying. You feel part of something bigger than you, an integral part. You feel in a service that's going well and it's flat out and you're busy and you're nailing your section. You feel bulletproof. I'm nailing a good service, which thankfully I've had an awful lot of very good ones. We have had some bad ones too. But on the thing, I've had more good ones. There's nothing better than doing something really, really well under pressure, at pace, with a bunch of other people. You get that sense of purpose, sense of belonging, an identity. Not many jobs will give you that instantly, on the spot, The hands of a chef. So I wrote notes, as I said I would do a long time ago. Not just ramble, because I would get off topic. Look at a chef's hands. Burns, cuts, scars, calluses. I have hands like a rhino's hide. That's not special to me, that's chefs, A map of every service we've done. A record of every night that we showed up, even when the body begged us not to. These are hands that built careers, built memories, built meals that meant something to someone. I've said it before, we're there for both the worst and best days of your life. Everything from baptisms to birthdays to 18s to 21st, engagements, marriages, births, deaths. Food is central to it. So are the chefs to do it. The world sees the plate. We see the cost. We pay the toll. Because in the kitchen, we don't just give our time. We give part of us. We give part of our bodies. Let me know what you think. Drop a comment in down below. give the page a like and a follow. I really appreciate it. And this is Noel, and this is Dark Side of the Kitchen. We'll talk again real soon.